Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This one, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If you came here looking for a hype review, you're not gonna get it. This book was a little bit of a letdown. Did it have some good parts? Absolutely. It had some really good parts, but it had some awful moments too. And I don't mean in just like made you feel bad awful, there was plenty of that, but actually not the greatest book. It's a big old chunker and it reads nice and slow. So if you want to stick around for the good, the bad, and the ugly, I will break it all down here. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the review. This next section is brought to you by the good stuff. The first time we see spells being used in the Muggle world. I mean, we know that these worlds have overlapped for some time, but we've never actually seen it in action. To me, this was really cool because it's like the government is doing their own version of magical wiretapping. They essentially have the inside track as to when anybody's going to use magic. Now, is this overbearance by a government? Probably. Would it fly in our America? I mean, maybe it has in the past, and maybe it shouldn't, and maybe it should. That's not for me to decide. Of course, we get the Order of the Phoenix in this book, which is a super cool Avengers-style idea. I love the concept of these guys stepping up and getting ready to face something that maybe the government doesn't fully believe in, that is Voldemort returning. And in this case, it's paying off. I mean, they've been here before. They're kind of like dusting off their old cloaks, getting their headquarters back in action. And you have this group that's all morally aligned, and maybe not the most organized or powerful, but they each have their own strengths, and they're doing the best they can to try to attack this as a team. Also, Luna frickin' Lovegood. Why did it take this long to get a character that's not in Gryffindor to be written about for more than a few sentences? Don't know. Maybe she finally figured it out, that there's 4 houses and you can write about people in each one of those houses. She's super awkward, which is very funny. She has like this quirky humor, but it's not really humor. She's just deadpan, and she believes Harry. Hey, you're not alone in what you're seeing. You're not alone in what you're experiencing. And oh, by the way, like, I believe you. I believe your story. I don't need to hear all the hype, the Rita Skeeter nonsense out there. I believe what's going on. It makes her immediately an admirable character, endearing, somebody you want to see more on the page. Then we've got Umbridge, who is one of the most vile characters to date. It's an incredible job that she does writing this character because Umbridge is so vile, so detestable, so dislikable. I don't think there's any reader out there that's going to be like, ooh, my favorite part, Umbridge, she's great, what a great character, she's so likable. Obviously not. Almost every chapter that she's in, you just feel almost like angry when she's present. Now, I'm not saying she rivals the maniac levels of Voldemort and his attempted genocide here. I am saying that she tortures children with a pen and makes them self-mutilate. And it's this blurred line of like this child torture, but not really. Is it discipline? Is it over the top? Like, where is the line? Makes you really question a lot of these things. And not only that, it draws back to previous teachers throughout the last few books at Hogwarts, where you're like, wow, maybe Snape's being a little harsh, or maybe Trelawney's a little too ditzy, maybe Hagrid's not quite polished enough. But really, when you draw a parallel to this teacher, it's horrible. And yeah, she's mismanaged Dementors, she's sent people away to Azkaban, and it's a testament to how upside down the wizarding government is at this point. She's more an output of this failed government than evil in any way herself. I'm not saying maybe she doesn't take a little joy out of the disciplinary actions that she's doing here, but it does feel like she is justified in her mind and what her doing, and that can be the case. We read books and we think of characters as good or evil, but that's only the lens that the author's painting for us. In the real world, nobody thinks, oh, I'm the bad guy. She is doing what she thinks is best for this school, but her plans, her delusion is what leads to a very misguided way of getting things done. Now, that also brings out another really big positive in this book, is the formation of Dumbledore's army. For sure, it's cool. A bunch of kids, they get together, they decide to have an after-school club, if you will, to practice their magical spells. That on the surface is fine, but it's more than that. It's bred out of, again, this failed system. Somebody's got to rise to the occasion, and these kids are doing it. Another pretty brilliant piece here is that the scar is being used in different ways. We already have seen it kind of with the visions, we've seen it with the physical pain, but now we're really dialing into emotion and that emotional relay between Harry and Voldemort. That's a really good baseline. But what she is able to do is say, how can I play with that? How can I get the reader to not get what they're expecting here? Oh, we can manipulate the emotion. We can manipulate the visions. We can try to use this as misdirection. And Harry falls for it hook, line, and sinker, which he would. He's an emotional teen, but it is that misdirection that makes it so good. Even if the reader can see it coming at the end, because you do start to say, oh my God, Harry, like you're really falling into his trap. Hermione's basically been saying as much the whole time. Also, we have Neville's come up, which I didn't really see totally coming. I mean, we do have snippets of him throughout the first few books. There aren't a lot of characters to choose from at this point, so I guess she just dialed in on one she'd written the physical name of at some point into her stories. That said, to loop him into the prophecies as a potential out was kind of interesting. The decision was really made at the end of the day. The decision was made by Voldemort to make Harry the one who fulfills the prophecy and not Neville. For sure, if Voldemort had picked him first to go see, it's very possible that the cards could have played out in a very different way. And Dumbledore does expressly say, like, not all prophecies come true, so it's very much this concept that I enjoyed, that it is what you make of it. Like, Voldemort took this onto himself so internally, like maybe nothing would have ever happened, but he's forcing it to come true. In this way, Rowling gets Voldemort to psych himself out a little bit and shows he's kind of fallible, and the emotional aspect is what's making him fallible. Not his skill, not his wit, it's his emotion and his inability to keep that in check. And I think that plays very strongly because we have Harry, who's not very good at controlling his emotions, but over the books is getting better and better at understanding and coping, and that's a lot of what this book is. It's learning to deal with what he's going through. And that might make it a little bit of a drag, a little bit slow, but we're in the good section right now. We're in the good section. Now, I think some people may think that the moment where Umbridge gets dragged off by the Centaurs may be a little underwhelming. I think she got her comeuppance. We all can feel however we feel about it, but what we don't really think about, authority in this book and in life is very contextual. She has lots of authority over the students at Hogwarts. She may have a lot of authority at the Ministry of Magic. But we saw earlier the Centaurs don't exactly believe in these constructs. The concept of authority here is so interesting. Like, who are you truly beholden to? Do you work a job? You have a boss? Well, they're in charge when you're there, but when you're home, they're not in charge. Do you believe in a higher power? Do you believe in what your mom and dad tell you to do? Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. So in this case, to see her just get slapped down to earth and like, hey, you think you got these big britches working over at Hogwarts, but hey, you're in the real world now. You're in the forest with us and we're in charge. That's where the justice comes in this book. And obviously I would love to have seen something more, cinematic, as it were, on the page. But to me, it's still very good. It's still very good. Another one of my absolute favorite moments is when they show up to take Dumbledore to Azkaban, and he's just like, nope, I got better things to do. It just shows how truly OP the guy is. Like, he is way more powerful, and I think he points out that it would probably be a major mistake for them to take him on in that moment. Let's get to the bad.
No, no, no!
Let's not beat around the bush. Look at these books. Look at these books. Look at them. Look at them. Then look at this one. This is the longest one. This is the longest one. This is longer than any of the Lord of the Rings books. We don't even get to Hogwarts until hundreds of pages in. And I'm not saying there's not any good stuff in those, but man, I mean, geez, dude. We're talking forever to get anywhere. And even when it does, it feels like J.K. Rowling had no confidence in her ability to convey emotion, that it got so repetitive. We had to repeat how Harry felt about every darn thing. It just over and over again, and it doesn't help the writing. It's like the editor never went back and realized how wordy and monotonous this thing was and then deleted out the unnecessaries. Like, they left it all in on a first pass. Read it back. I'm telling you to read it back and just be honest with yourself. Like, it is very drawn out. let's talk about Grop. I know that this is another polarizing thing, and I actually don't think Grop is a whole hill to die on, even though some people seem to be choosing to die on that hill. I get it, there's this tie-in with the giants and the relation to Hagrid, and I feel like she really did have a line, a bead on what she wanted to do with this, and then she kind of just like let the thread die. And so for that thought, it just puts Harry and Hermione in a dangerous position for literally no reason, which is kind of out of character for Hagrid. I just don't see the purpose or the relevance in the story. Now, the magic hearing at the beginning of the book, this was bad. It was just truly bad. First of all, they tested Harry's wand for its prior spell. Why would they not do this in the last book in the hedge maze to see what the heck happened in there? No? Nobody? Nobody? So that aside, now they know what was going on. But then again, they could have just used the pensieve. Give his memory up. Let him show what's going on. And to anybody who's going to say, oh, well, you could tamper with that. You think Harry knows how to tamper with that? And even if he did, there's obviously clear evidence when somebody does tamper with it that something's wrong with it, so you could just throw it out as insufficient evidence. But literally, with the pensieve, they could see exactly what happened. You don't need to say anything about hearsay. You could just see literally the events as they actually played out and make a decisions for yourself as a court. I don't understand why they couldn't do that. There's not even a real investigation of any kind. They're just putting on a show here in the courtroom. I don't really know what's going on. Why are they acting like the only way to figure out what happened was this random eyewitness? The selective use of magical mechanisms or lack thereof in this story is just, it's malpractice. How does Harry not see Thestrals? He watched his parents die. He watched Cedric die. Don't give me the, oh, he needs to emotionally process this. He's emotionally been processing stuff his whole life. At least as the reader, we've only already seen him emotionally process for at least 4 books, a little more than that at this point. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Let's just call it what it is. She really liked the idea of these magical invisible creatures called Thestrals that turn visible when you see death, and she wanted to put them in her book, and she wasn't going to clean up the mess of how he'd never seen them before. And I'm still not interested in Quidditch, even if Ron's going to join. Weasley is not my king. He may be yours, but he's not mine. The stakes are so high in this book right now, Quidditch should be mostly irrelevant. And before I forget, on the Thestral front, why have a whole class on them? Why have a class where you literally can't see the creatures that you're teaching about? This makes no sense. Like, oh, let's take them out to the field and have a bunch of students stand in the pasture and pretend they know what's going on. No, they don't. Like, oh, Neville, why is that apple levitating up and down? Oh, but just took a big chunk out of it. What's going on over there? That's a little horrifying. That's a little horrifying, but actually it's been Thestrals this whole time. Nobody ever noticed? Nobody ever noticed these things prancing around the fields? Nobody ever felt a gush of wind float by? Nope, they're just admit it. Just admit it. You created this new creature, and it's a really cool creature, but you forgot about how to cover your tracks in putting it into the story. Another tally in the negative column, Marietta as the snitch, completely random character. I'm not saying a random character can't accomplish anything in this book. There would be less random characters, by the way, if you knew how to write about any more than Gryffindor characters. I actually see it as a lost opportunity. And finally, the part of this book that I think a lot of people will be in misery together on, Sirius's death. This didn't have to happen. This Hall of the Prophecy moment was a failure. So in my opinion, there are one of two things here. One, Rowling forgot that she even gave Harry the mirror, which I cannot really believe entirely because the editors would have caught it and said, just blot that part out. It would be unnecessary. But we know a couple things here. Harry is obsessed with Sirius. This guy is constantly trying to communicate with him any way he can. If Sirius had given him a Christmas present, he would absolutely tear that open immediately. I get the way it was written, I can see him like delaying that, but there's no way as a young kid that wouldn't be eating at his mind, like, what did Sirius give me? But if she had forgotten that she wrote about it, maybe that just blanks in her mind and she carries on. Now she does need, in her story, a way for Sirius to die. So my second thing here is she writing it in specifically to be this emotional guilt plot device? Is it solely to make Harry feel even worse at the end of the book? If so, that's just poorly done. Like, you could have found a more fitting way for Sirius to die in the end that made you actually feel that emotion than going, oh, Harry, you had this mirror the whole time. Oh, you could have talked to him. This is ridiculous too, because the flu powder exists. They talked in it. They actually talked in it before this moment. That would have been an opportunity to talk about, hey, I gave you this device that we can talk through. And by the way, they knew the flu network was being watched. That would be the ultimate time for Sirius to go, you know what? I have a better way of communicating that can't be tracked. These things are just out of character. Like, Sirius is one of the more intelligent characters in the book. It just feels like a misstep he wouldn't make. Knowing how high the stakes are, knowing how critical it is for his godson to speak with him, you would really, really think he'd explain what it is, or eventually be like, hey, did you open that thing? Here's how you use it. Let's get to the ugly. I don't think we can go into ugly without at least mentioning that Kreacher is pretty much like an old racist grandpa. But his linguistic jujitsu at the end is a very good way to trick Harry. In all seriousness, Kreacher does lead to the point of blood purity. We come to find Sirius was disowned for this, but this is such a staunch issue in the Potterverse. I get blood purity from the book standpoint of tradition or family bloodlines, tracking family trees, okay, but why is it important really? And where does it stem from? What's the advantage gained? Are there consequences to being a half-blood? Voldemort's talking genocide here, so what is the motivation? There has to be a real motivation, and that's where I think this kind of falls short for me. Usually an evil dictator has some sort of motivation or backing. Again, I said earlier, the good guy and the bad guy, they don't always know they're the good or the bad, they think they're doing the right thing. Maybe Voldemort does know he's doing some bad things. So this entire class of people, these purebloods, the purebloods who do believe in keeping blood purity, why? Another ugly part of this book is the constant keeping of Harry in the dark. In a book series where people are very open with Harry and supportive of him and talking to him, it just seems really out of character. I'm not saying I don't understand the plot device here of making miscommunication kind of part of the downward spiral of the later events of the book, but these people who are so loving, it just seems so out of character for them to treat Harry in this distant way. Your job as the author is to entertain the reader. And so if you can get this point home succinctly, then it'll flow so much better. But there was so much repetitiveness in this, like constantly hammering this point home, that you lose the reader a little bit. And I hate to break it to you, the people reading this book, they're not here for a Pulitzer Prize. Let's get to the Room of Requirement. Another part where I'm like, this is really cool. The concept is so awesome. The way they get into it, the way they use it, I love all that. But here we go again. Why has this never appeared for anybody before? Or at least it seems like students should very actively be able to use this place or stumble upon it. It's such a creative tool, but just find a way to be like, hey, here's why we never saw this before. I'll leave it brief, but I don't want to leave this ugly section, by the way, without just mentioning Harry and Cho Chang kiss. Let's talk the logistics of Voldemort getting the prophecy. It was so easy to get into the Ministry, a bunch of kids could do it. So you're saying, okay, well, he didn't want to go in there and get exposed, but then he ends up going there and getting exposed. With that note of Voldemort getting exposed, I get that that's Dumbledore's plan, right? He wants to bring him out in the open in front of the Ministry so nobody can deny his existence anymore. I get that. But you have to also remember, Dumbledore is the master here. He is the elite wizard. He could probably take this guy down no problem. So why just deflect and defend and delay him with your spells and get him in front of the Ministry when you probably could just take him down yourself? Just pin the man down and handle him later. Like, there's got to be some magic spell for that. You can definitely overpower him if you're Dumbledore. Dumbledore, he's had some questionable judgment in this book, but it just is what it is. All right, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Probably gonna get roasted this, but I'm gonna give it a 5.32. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. It was not the best book. It just really wasn't. Probably bottom 2 in the series, and I have to stand on that because I'm telling you right now, if you read this thing cover to cover again, you'll see how slow it is. And yes, there are awesome moments. The battle at the Ministry at the end is epic. There are cool moments with Dumbledore's army, but I'm just telling you right now, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. There were a lot of missed opportunities to make it even better than it was. If you tightened up the pacing, cut out a lot of the fluff, this thing could easily be in the top 3, but it's not. But hey, you don't have to agree with me. Let's see what the community thinks. 870-page book, 800 pages of filler. That's probably about right. It's probably about right. There's probably about 70 pages of good stuff in this thing. But Camilla, I feel you, because after you leave the high and the hype of the last book, for the drop off to be this steep and just read a whole lot of nothing. Yes, there is a little bit of something, but a whole lot of nothing. It's really painful. And that's funny to me too, because it's not even the worst book. I still stand that the Chamber of Secrets is not as good as this one, but yet it feels worse because you're coming off the high of book 4. See, with Connor, I kind of agree. Maybe she was on a contract to get paid by the word for this one. I've never measured molasses down a hill. I'm sure it doesn't move that fast, but I will give a little bit of credit. This isn't as bad as he's cracking it up to be. Are you saying you need lead poisoning to be able to enjoy this book? Can somebody please, I know there aren't many of you out there watching this video or even making it to this point, can somebody please tell me what Dr. Giuseppe means here? And the way he's writing this, is there research behind this? He's saying he's a distinguished professor. He has a PhD. I mean, you gotta be kind of smart to do that. I kind of enjoyed it. Does that mean I inhaled too many gasoline fumes? Dr. Giuseppe, I hope I see more of your reviews in the future. And I agree with you. You found the sweet spot here. A quarter of the pages would have been right. This is super relatable because it's not far off. It really makes me think of like high school or middle school when your teacher would say, hey, you have to write a 5-page essay, and you're just stretching to get to that point. You're in the thesaurus looking up adjectives, adverbs, any words you can add to fluff this thing up and pump it up. You're doing the single and a half space and seeing if she doesn't notice. I don't know if in the times of ChatGPT and all this online submission stuff, if you could get away with that, but back then you could. But how about you? Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you agree with my take that this is kind of just a mediocre book? Let me know in the comments. Did I butcher anything? Did I botch it? Am I totally off base? Hash it out with me there. I love to talk. I love to engage with you guys. It's been a blast the last couple weeks, really getting to hear your thoughts and perspectives on these books. If you enjoy the review, drop a like, subscribe. I hope to see you back soon. I've got 2 more of these things to get through. I have a feeling that they're gonna get better from here. I think you guys know that too, so let's get on to it. And remember folks, a chapter a day keeps the brain rot away. Have a great evening.